Hello everyone, I hope you're all doing good today. So in today's video we're going to be making some spicy smoky tofu. I'm going to be cooking it in an air fryer, but you can also bake it in the oven and I'm sure it would turn out great. So we're going to marinate it and then just cook it in the air fryer in this video. So let's go head to the kitchen and get started. For this recipe you'll need some tofu, just one block of tofu. This is 15.5 ounces drained, but anything around that weight would be fine, so like 14 ounces would be fine too. Some olive oil, soy sauce, sriracha sauce, liquid smoke, smoked paprika, and garlic powder. So first you want to get as much water out of your tofu as possible. There are several ways to do this. You can use a tofu press. I don't have one, so I sometimes use paper towels and just keep dabbing the tofu until it's as dry as possible. You can squeeze some of the water out with your hands just by squeezing the tofu like this, but you want to be careful in doing that as to not break the tofu into pieces. You can also microwave the tofu with some paper towels covering it. That will help get some of the water out as well. So first I am going to try to get some of the water out with some paper towels. I did squeeze some water out over the sink earlier with my hands, but obviously you don't want to do that too much because you don't want your tofu falling apart. And the reason that you want to get as much water out of this tofu as possible is because the more water you get out, the more crispy this tofu is going to be when you cook it in the air fryer. So now I'm going to cut my tofu up into little pieces. Well, not too little, but just whatever size you want. After I cut it, I'm going to put it on this plate with a paper towel and microwave it some to remove some more of the water. You don't have to do this if you have different methods of removing water, but I'm just trying to get the absolute most water out of this tofu as possible. So I'm using all of the different methods available to me to remove the water. And then I'm going to cut it long ways as well. So I've got my tofu here. I've got a paper towel under it and on top of it. And I'm just gonna pop that in the microwave for 1 minute. Now that you've got most of the water out of the tofu, well, I'm gonna actually dab it a little bit more with a paper towel one last time. Get a little bit more water out. Alright, so this tofu looks pretty dry now. So now you're just going to add it to your marinade. And you want to get as much of the tofu completely submerged as possible. And you want to coat it all, so go in there with a spoon. Just be careful not to be too rough with it, because you don't want to break the tofu into pieces. But you do want to make sure it's at least all very well coated. try to spoon it over to get these pieces on the side. Alright, so now you just want to cover it and put it in the fridge, let it marinate for at least an hour, but the longer the better. Overnight would be best. Here's the air fryer I'm going to be using. It's called a Toastmaster, and I'm going to preheat it to 375 degrees. Alright, so now that you've preheated the air fryer, you're going to go ahead and add your marinated tofu in. And you do want to just arrange it on a single layer. Don't stack it. And you probably won't be able, depending on the size of your air fryer, you probably won't be able to fit the whole block of tofu in one go. So I think I'm gonna end up doing 2. So, got our tofu in, and now we're just gonna pop it back in the air fryer, and we're gonna cook it for 10 to 15 minutes. But you might want to check like halfway through and flip it to make sure it cooks evenly. Alright, so we're about halfway through our cooking time. I'm gonna go ahead and stop it and check on them. Okay, so now I'm just gonna kind of flip these around to make sure they're gonna cook evenly. Alright, now I'm just gonna put them back in. And continue to let those cook for about 7 more minutes. Alright, the air fryer timer just went off. Let's go ahead and check these. Alright, so they look like they're getting pretty crispy. Let's see if they're done. So they were almost done, but I think they could cook for another 5 minutes, so I'm gonna go ahead and set it to 5 more minutes. Alright, so it's been about another 5 minutes or so, and I think we're good. Looks pretty crispy on the outside. So I'm gonna say that's done, and I'm gonna go ahead and start the next round. I've got my finished smoked spicy tofu here with some white rice, and I'm about to give it a try. Wow. There's so much flavor in that tofu. I let it marinate overnight and it really soaked up all of that flavor. It's spicy and smoky and just the perfect amount of crispness on the outside, and then it's nice and juicy on the inside. I definitely recommend trying out this recipe, guys. I hope you all enjoyed today's video, and if you decide to make this, make sure and let me know in the comments section. And if you wouldn't mind giving this video a like and subscribing to my channel, it really helps me out and I would really appreciate it. See you guys next time.